Greetings, everybody. We are at this moment that we are preparing for the holidays and everything. That is a lot of fun and with our families. Also, there is a time to get back to serious conversations. I want thinking about what could be the title of this program, and I believe a good title would be On His Own Words. And in a few minutes, you will know why. We are here, my friend Ian, and me, Alejandro. And I want to ask Ian first to introduce himself.
First off, good afternoon. My name is Ian Hound. I was officially diagnosed with a high-functioning form of autism spectrum disorder in 2011. Although I look like I have it all together now, it hasn't always been that way. I have faced a number of challenges, first in my time in public schools here in the town of Hudson, and then at community college level, and then professionally. I want to be clear, however, I'm just one example of what we will talk about in regard to autism. Because autism, first and foremost, is a spectrum. The main reason I have taken up the calling to draw attention to this very important discussion now is in regard to countering some of the misrepresentations that have been spread over the course of the year, but also to express significant concern in regard to the autism registry proposed by Federal Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Well, thank you very much first for stepping in, and especially you, that you have the best knowledge because you have been lived this on yourself. So I have I would like, for me, I am a concerned citizen. I have the same concerns as you have. That is very dangerous to put a registry of individuals, doesn't matter what, on a national database. That's wrong.
Most definitely.
This is something that is wrong. But I really believe there is a lot of misconceptions about autism. There is the autism is a big range of things, but like everybody else. So there is in any human beings, there is everything, and the same things in that mirage of different things happen on autism. So I would like just to, in your own words, to tell us the challenges and that is someone that is an autist face.
Challenge-wise, it can range. It ranges from not being very well understood, because frankly, autistic people such as myself are differently wired, and granted I'm on the more high-functioning end. There are also those who need an extensive amount of support, and that gets into some of the concerns about the misrepresentations that if you're presenting us as a second-class citizen, then that opens the door for us repeating history.
What do you mean for repeating history?
Over the course of history, and perhaps Nazi Germany is a prominent example, national registries is how it was started. It was the state's way of saying that we were a lesser citizen, that we shouldn't have inclusion, we shouldn't have understanding.
So there is what is exactly the challenges when you were in school, how those challenges you faced materialize? What happened?
Certainly, one of the big challenges was needing extra time on taking tests, for example, because I'll admit to it, my own memorization is only so good.
Okay.
I mean, I tend to be a type that works off of cue card note. I tend to like to have my thought written down ahead of time so I can have something to refer back to, certainly. Certainly over the last couple of years, it's gone from that to I've experienced firsthand certainly the medication shortage and around
So
ADHD med. Certainly, I've not been able to get my hands on them quite as readily as I would need them because everybody else is looking for that alternative too.
Because you said that is HED, so when you are hyperactivity person and with some problems with attention deficit, but that is something that also happens in people that they are not autistic. And that is very interesting what you said, because that means that is the same kind of problems that is facing for other people's face for autistic. The challenge is when the person that is what I believe, but you need to tell me if I am correct. Sometimes that is when they diagnose that person is autistic, that they make them, they believe that it's not really anything that could be done for them, and they are totally wrong.
You're mostly correct.
Okay.
The best, and it gets to a main point that we'll make a little bit later too. With autism, it's a neurological difference. The best you can do, based on the current science, is manage it.
Okay.
That said, there is no definitive cure.
There is
management is your best option.
Correct. There is not a disease that needs to be cured. Just simply is to adaptation of the needs that the person that is autistic needs.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
that is, and they need to, and they need to know the individual, then to adapt to help that individual. And besides what is the challenges of the school. For learning and to have some adaptation to your way of learning. What else is challenging for someone that is autistic?
I mean, first off, I appreciate the question. I can only really speak to my own background here,
Yes.
and I'm one of the more put together types of
Okay.
autism, but there are some who would need quite a lot of support, certainly.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm not one of those, but
Yeah.
again, that's the whole point. It's a spectrum.
Yes.
I'm just the
that's
one
correct.
example.
Yes, exactly. That is a very good point what you bring up. So you are talking about your own experiences, but at the
definitely,
same time, you recognize there is other individuals that need more attention, and it's very important that we all understand. First, it's not a disease. It's not something that needs to be cured. It's something that we need to help them to adapt to them in order that they could be learning and function. So they need, like everybody else, needs education and training, but there's specific ways to be done with someone that is autistic. And that support is essential.
And it goes beyond that.
Okay.
And that's part of our main goal today. It's not just to inform people on this very important topic, important discussion, but it's also to help them realize how important it is to have inclusion, both from an administrative or structured procedural way, but also getting people to understand that people with autism can be quite normal.
Sure, yes. Yeah. So when you are talking about, can you elaborate a little bit more about inclusion, how you define it, what is the frame of when you are talking about inclusion, how you define that?
Once again, a very good question, and
That is, I'm talking about for you, because for somebody
In my
else.
mind, inclusion is having our audience understand that people with autism can in fact be quite average. They can be just like us and very capable of having this important, informed conversation today. And in my mind, inclusion also gets into recognizing the needs of those individuals and not trying to treat them as a second class or say that they're a bad person because they have a condition that there's a good bet they inherited because it's a genetic difference.
So that is what they said, the neuroscientists, that is a wiring difference on the brain, on the way that the cells of the brain interconnect with each other. And that is why that is called in that spectrum, and that appears different on different persons. And what we are doing is just create awareness of that in the people, because we are facing challenging times. That
For
is
sure.
what is really happening. There is a lot of misconceptions also that there is not a specific cause we can blame for the autism. The autism, as I have been reading, could be a myriad of things, but they are just on the level of genetics. It's on the construction of the brain. And that is not related with any external force like a medication or vaccination or anything like that. That is always, has been very well demonstrated. Also, there is another misconception I was reading. There is more boys diagnosed by autism than girls.
Not entirely. I'm going to stop you there for just a moment and point out that that's not entirely true.
Okay.
And it's become more prominent, more known about autism. It presents differently in girls than it does boys. So there is a chance that it gets missed in girls, which is why it seems that, boys are disproportionately autistic. That's not true at all.
Not true. No.
It presents different ways.
That has been, for many years, has been ignored. That is what happens with girls. And actually, there many times has been ignored many things about autism. They have been different things. And until now, we are beginning to understand what is what is autism. And that is the purpose of this program. And that is also the value that you are talking about this. So, and that is very important that we consider on your screen. That is these three ideas: no single cause. That is a combination of genetic and environmental factors, and vaccines do not cause autism.
Vaccines certainly do not cause autism, and I would encourage the audience to research this point themselves, and I'll point out that it has been in the discussion again in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And also point out that in studies where vaccines and autism were measured, evaluated, the vaccines made such a small difference in those studies that you couldn't definitively say that it was the vaccines.
Yeah.
More times than not, it's genetic. And I would also, and those who look on the cdc.gov site, I would also encourage you to look at a second source as well, due to the recent changes that were made in the last week. Because vaccines still do not cause autism, not in a definitive manner.
Yeah, no, there is no. So far, that is the knowledge that there has been research already. There is plenty of. Actually, I believe in some point in our slides we are going to see a series of references
for sure.
where the people can go over there and read themselves and what is the base of the scientific studies that indicates that is not the case.
And understand we've done our research coming into this
Yes.
program, and we'll share some of them toward the end.
Yes. And there is that is what we were talking about. 1 in 7 children, 1 in 45 adults have autism. Across all races and backgrounds. And this is something very interesting because I worked years ago with the American Red Cross. And one of the things we did is we vaccinated children and about measles in sub-Saharan Africa. It's the disease that kills more children in sub-Saharan Africa. And that is the interesting thing is that I was talking with someone from Uganda, and there is even regions that they do not have access to vaccination. They have children with autism. And that is, they are there. That is the case. They don't have access to vaccination, but they has been discovered that actually they are autistic children. That unfortunately they don't have access to vaccination, and that's the problem.
And therein lies part of what we're trying to say in the program.
No correlation. How is possible? So people, the big challenge is the preventable disease. Thanks to the vaccination, but at the same time, you look for autistic children, you discover there is a population of autistic children, and that they have not been having access to vaccination.
And then the point about boys are diagnosed more often than girls, as I elaborated on a few minutes ago,
yes, yeah.
It presents differently, so there's not a one-size-fits-all measure here.
Yes, they have been observing the boys, and there was some of the characteristics of autistic girls. They blame it that was more kind of characteristic because they were girls, and they were kind of better to somehow mask but when you do pay attention to the students, and this has been discovered actually, is very close, the numbers of boys and girls that they are autistic. So, yes. So that is, there is some important things as we see on this slide that I want just to see. First, diagnosed based on behavior and development. So I want to go back in your own words. How was the process when you got to know about autistic?
It was, on the one hand, it was a bit more challenging than it would be today because it wasn't, we didn't know as much about autism at that time. And certainly, I would say I would be more on the developmental end, where at least, certainly from what I recall, and anyway, it was not developing quite as quickly as my peers. And certainly, again, like I said at the top, though I look like I'm put together now, it's not always been that way.
Right, okay. So do you think there has been, since the time you were a child, that now you see there's something positive, an improvement on the recognition of autism in children in the schools?
In many ways, I mean, certainly I can only speak to myself here, but I would certainly believe that there's been improved recognition, additional knowledge on the subject, and that's the only reason that autism's become, the autistic diagnosis rate has gotten so much better over the years is because we have learned more about what goes into it. There's a better understanding of it.
So this is there is so
And actually,
yeah.
I'm looking at this slide here.
Okay.
Core characteristics, difficulty with in social communication and interaction. I mean, I'd certainly say that's an accurate example of what I was going through, certainly in school, that making and retaining friends was certainly not
Okay.
an easy thing, although I've gotten better over the years.
Yeah. Now you have a lot of friends now.
Oh, for sure. Point two, restricted repetitive behavior or interest. That, in my mind, that sounds to be more of a broad description of.
Yeah, that is not necessarily in everyone.
It's
That's
not true in all examples, but
Okay.
it's true in. It is true, but not in my case, certainly.
Okay, so that means that is very common to see restrictive and repetitive behaviors or interests, but not necessarily. And that is bring us to something that is probably also a misconception. It's that the people who is autistic always they are very good at mathematics. Well, it's like everybody else. There's some people very good at mathematics and some people that are not. So I think.
I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, if I'm so candid there.
So we are like me. I am in the middle there.
And I would say that the third point that each person is unique on how loans appear is certainly true because, as highlighted at the top, it's a spectrum. It's a range of characteristic. It's a range of behavior.
Yeah.
It's a range of how each person develops.
Yes, of course. So that is like everybody else. So there is some people who are very good at mathematics.
Oh, for sure.
They are not autistic, and autistic people they are very good at mathematics, and autistic people they are very good at music or in painting, and like everybody else.
It depends on who you are. Yeah,
it depends.
exactly.
So that is another a misconception about that. So. And each person is unique in how that person. So that is also very important. That they need to pay attention because science is a myriad of people. So is to be able to know that student or that individual and give them the tools necessarily to develop correctly. So this is a matter somehow of equity. Do you believe that?
Oh, definitely. And I certainly would say that gets into the second piece of our objective here, is to get people to understand that people with autism are not any different than
everybody else.
Than anyone else particularly. Yes, they're different. Yes, they're unique. But they deserve as much inclusion and respect as anyone else.
Okay, yeah, this is. Yeah,
that's the best way I can put it.
I'm sorry, I believe that is, you said perfectly, is very clear, no? So there is some myths and some facts, no? There is. So vaccines cause autism. Yeah, already we said that is false. It's very clear.
Very definitely
not correlation. And there is going to be in the future and also another program that we are going to be able to expand on this information, correct?
Yes, we're intending to do a second part to this program.
Second part, maybe we will further on that.
Coming up, and we're going to get into some of the more misconceptions, some of the more national debate, and also draw people's attention to the New Hampshire legislature going to be taking up certain aspects of autism in their session beginning in January.
Yeah, that's excellent. That is so. There is something that is, I'm sure, that is a myth. That is, autistic people don't want friends. Well,
Well, that's absolutely false, and you don't have to look any further than right here.
Yeah, that is so.
As
Yeah.
I highlighted a few moments ago, that
Yes. Yeah.
yes, it can be a challenge, but through experience, through practice, you eventually figure out the best way to make that work.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of our earlier slides addresses that autism affects only children. No, it's something you have your entire life.
It's
quite
part
frankly.
of you. It's part of your personality. It's part of
Oh,
you,
definitely.
Who you are.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
yeah.
Okay, yes, it evolves from childhood, teenage years to adulthood. Sure,
So,
but
it's evolved because you have,
it's there the entire time.
It's all your life. Like if all of us, we have a different, when we are growing as a children, and teenagers, and adults, and older adults, we are facing different phases with different characteristics, as
Oh, definitely.
happen with the autistic people. So, and we all mature with the time. These autistic people mature, and the other people, they mature.
And
Okay.
then one thing I'd like to reference back to my self-introduction at the top, that yes, I've had a share of challenges in dealing with this, but the important part is to learn what works for you, how to adapt and deal with the hand you're dealt, for lack of a better term here.
Okay. So that is also on this slide that you brought out those lines in a very clever way. So
Oh, sure.
no cure. There is nothing to cure. There is not like someone have a...
By current science, there's not.
No cure. How are you going to cure? Is a personality, is the way that is constructed the brain, that is the way that the connections between neurons are. So there is something, first, is nothing need to be cured. It's not a disease. So there is also very important, it's not a congenital disease. Autistics born with specific characteristics that they are not a disease. It's not a malformation, it's not a disease, it's a difference. So there is no cure.
And like I said at the top, the best you're going to do with a lot of support or not is manage it. And that's borne out by the current science.
That is so this the therapies as needed, no? Whatever he said, examples there in speech, occupational, behavioral.
For
so
sure.
whatever is the situation to have the proper
And
help.
I believe that the third point on the slide is also the most key in having a not just educational or professional or support system that understands who you are and appreciates you for you. Having a family that recognizes who you are is also key. And that is absolutely accurate.
Okay, so you highlight that piece.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
So that is when there is so an early intervention, the cooperation of the family to know what is and how is the best way to help your son or your daughter, and also have a good communication with the schools.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That is, and in every time that you have your children to succeed in life, I think the participation of the parents is the key.
Oh,
every time, and also,
for sure.
and also the communication with the school, and be sure the school is doing what they're supposed to do. And so that is that correlation between the teachers, the school system, and the parents are the key. But actually, it's like happen on the best students. That is just the participation of the parents and the participation of the school.
Oh, for sure.
And with autistic children is not an exception.
And I would certainly not only second that, but also acknowledge that it comes down to what the individual feels they need as well, because this has certainly been a learning experience for even me over the years. And then also being able to translate that over to being able to describe what I feel I need in a given situation.
This is very interesting. There is the other piece is you as an autistic individual. So you went to college, you had education, and so how you, because when you go to the university or college or even high school,
Community college
they don't
system
really
of New
know
Hampshire, thank you. Community college system in New Hampshire, Nashua, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I like actually community college very much, but this is another topic.
Shameless plug there.
Yeah, but there is how you manage that. You go to college, you are going to have a class. How you connect with your teachers, the professors?
It certainly varied depending on what subject area it went in.
Okay.
I mean, there are some classes that I went more of a technology-based route, which I found helped, which tend to be self-taught on a lot of computer-related stuff. So I was playing to my strengths, if that's the right analogy here. The more traditional subjects like math, science, English, it depended on what we were going over. And
so there is
certainly for the traditional subjects, audiobooks were a great help.
Okay.
I'm one that likes to hear what I'm reading.
Okay.
More times than not.
So then you talk about those things with your professors. So you make them to know you are autistic.
Both the professors and the disability services coordinator office, whichever term they use for it, and making sure those arrangements were in writing, so it was clearly understood. Because that's one thing that's not well discussed. Once you get outside the public school system, it's up to the individual to self-advocate, be able to articulate what they feel they need.
And I have the feeling that you are very good to advocate yourself.
You're into practice, but yes.
Yeah, they take practice, no? That is,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And it gets back to the comment I made a few moments ago where I look like I'm put together now, but it's been years of trial and error, years of finding what actually worked for me.
Okay. That's well, you found it. That is very good. So it's congratulations for that.
I would say that's a work in progress.
Well,
though,
that is, but that is a work in progress of the entire life for everybody, no?
Oh, for sure.
That is
for sure.
Even when myself, I believe that is still there is a work in progress until the last day of my life, I think.
And in terms of strengths and abilities, and shown on the slide here, attention to detail. Yeah, definitely true. Look in a dictionary. Hello. Strong memory. Yeah, also true. Deep focus. Yep. I don't fancy myself as a creative type per se, but I suppose there are people out there who would. Neurodiversity. Again, it's not a defect. It's a difference.
Yes.
People with autism can be quite normal seeming.
Well,
myself included.
That is what I just always like to highlight, because when there could be autistic people that they are very, they are not functional at all, or very difficult, with a lot of challenges, and all their life, and people that is in the other side that is very capable to do and succeed and do many amazing things. But the same thing happens on people that is not autistic.
Oh, for sure.
There is people that they are not autistic, then they never really develop well, and they have challenges that never are able to overcome. And there is people that they that develop, and there is bright autistic people, and there is bright people that they are not autistic. So that is why that is one of the that is a word that. But the thing is, I cannot bring a better word. So that is diagnosis. So
Sure.
Diagnostic. We're going to diagnose. So it's diagnosis like looking for the cause of a disease, or what disease is. It's not.
Well,
it's not a disease.
It's not a disease. It's not a virus. Those you can cure.
That's correct.
Despite our national health officials insisting to the contrary.
Yeah, that is yes. I totally, and that is. So there is on this slide, there is at home clear routines and sensory-friendly environment. So do you think that is something that is good?
And I suppose that, one, that is accurate, and two,
Okay.
how extensive those routines might be,
Okay.
or friendly those environments would be up to the individual and their family to
So that need to further
accommodate accordingly.
Okay.
Based on how significant the level of support that the individual would need.
Okay.
Like I said at the top, I like to have things written down. I like to have notes and stuff to refer back to touch upon it myself. I'm a person that makes a list. Okay, I'm sure everybody does, but I find that particularly helpful to address the at-home point here a moment. And then at school/work, I touched on the audiobook point when we were talking about the fact that I went to community college, and I would say that would be a fair and quite reasonable accommodation depending on the person's situation. And the third point is very true. Inclusion benefits everybody.
Yes.
And I would count myself in this last point, that an autistic person such as myself, people with autism, are just looking to be included, first and foremost. Yes, they're different, but that doesn't mean they should be treated any differently.
That's
the best way I can put it.
so. And do you? What is now? We talking about autism in the nation, the government. So, do you believe that is something that jeopardizes the inclusion of autistic individuals?
If we look at history in the certainly Nazi Germany and the looking at us as lesser citizens of the state, then yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a very real concern. It's a very real hazard. And it also will lead us into part two of the discussion, considering I'm going to let the representative speak to it better, but there is a piece of legislation that's in front of the New Hampshire legislature this next session, not only acknowledging but recognizing the rights that autistic people deserve to have based upon what Governor Pritzker did in Illinois back in May with Executive Order 2025-02. And we can touch upon that certainly in the second part of that program.
Absolutely. That's good. Yeah. So, so there is. So this is actually related with we have been already talking. No?
And we've touched on this already,
yes,
for sure.
Already for all of them, but that is good to use respect to language. I think we need to do always for everyone.
Oh, definitely.
That is especially, we have been, that is someone that is different must to be respected and no mockery of what the person is different. No? So we need to respect. So respect everyone. I'll use language, not only language and all the demeanor. against any person that is somehow, for whatever reason, is different. We need to respect them and in the language and the demeanor with that person.
For sure. Absolutely.
And promote sensory-friendly environments. Well, it's related with the best way for you to learn, that you need specific things. You want to listen and take notes and read and listen.
And granted, I'm not in that category myself necessarily, but with it being autism being a spectrum, there are people who do need that sensory-friendly environment because that's how they function day to day.
This is because there is you have relations with other autistic individuals, friends that are autistic as well.
I have friends in high school who, as the years have gone on, we've seen similarities in each other. Yes, and that's another reason I have gotten behind the microphone, both at our very own state house here in New Hampshire, but also here today, and to bring attention to it from the perspective of someone who's living it.
Right.
Unlike myself, I'm willing to speak up about it. They're seeing similarities in themselves that they see with me, but they're not as motivated. They're not as practiced. They're not as articulate about it, and that's not a bad thing. Make no mistake. But it's become apparent, certainly through the national discussion this year, and we'll get more into this in part 2, that someone within the community needed to step up and acknowledge, not just here's what autism is, here's why the misrepresentations are incorrect, but here's why we should be concerned about the national discussion and certainly the discussion in the state legislature next year.
Also, that is something that is very important, because it's like people that they are not autistic, and they are telling what the autistic community needs. And there is not enough to listen the people who is autistic. That is stupid. That I will tell you what you
that
need.
is fair.
I want to tell you what you need. You need to tell me what you need. And that is autistic citizens. They need to be listened, and that they need to have a voice, and that voice need to reach everywhere. And
for sure.
That is what you are doing is extremely important. And I'm grateful for you doing
absolutely. That. And I mean, it's certainly not a calling that I thought I would be taking up this calendar year. But as things have evolved, and we'll delve into it more in depth in the second portion, and it's been in the headlines every couple of months, I have come to the realization that the fact that I'm living with it, granted in a high-functioning form, I have a unique platform. I have a unique
correct. Yes, I believe
understanding. Okay, yes, I'm only one example, but I would feel better as we go forward in not just the policy making, which we'll get into in part 2, but looking to our elected officials and urging them to actually listen to those, not just in the autistic community, which is today's topic, but in general. Look towards those individuals who are living what you're talking about. Ask them what they need.
Exactly. So
ask them how the policy making can make our lives better, rather than separating us from what is normal.
So, yes, I agree. So there is no sense that I'm going to come here and tell you what you need. It's you need to tell what you need, and that is something that is very important. No? And that looks like in some kind is the lack of it. So I believe that is very important, and you as a person that really know because you have lived it day by day for your entire life, and you know the challenges you are able to bring up, and you are now bringing the voice of many.
Oh, definitely.
And that is really admirable that you are doing that. I really.
And that's certainly why I've
it.
joined the discussion in the ways that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get into some of our resources for this first portion, after, if I may, after hearing what our U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary proposed back in April of 2025, I was a mix of discouraged, angry, and saddened that he would even hint at taking the U.S. down a road where autistic people would be facing segregation and being discriminated against because of a underdefined registry that they didn't clearly define the purpose. They were going to take our information whether they wanted to or not, whether we wanted them to or not. History tells us that there is no good that comes from that, though.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
It's not the direction we should be looking towards. Inclusion should be the direction we're looking toward.
Totally agree with you. Yes, and that is something we need to we need to speak up and to be the voters and the citizens to understand and really advocate together with the autistic community and have strong voices against that.
Absolutely uplift not just the policymakers, the elected officials, but the advocacy groups that are working towards this goal.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. And that there is some resources there that I really encourage the people to go. As the CDC, there is a web page, and the Mayo Clinic have a very good stories about autistic communities. The Autism Speaks is an excellent resource.
It is a national resource for information regarding autism. I would, in addition to the Autism Speaks source, point people to actually have it, if they know someone with autism, actually have a conversation with them. Get to know them better. Get to understand what they actually need.
Yes, that's very good, yes. And there is yes, we need to be proactive. When there is sometimes talking is that we need to learn more than when talking more tolerance. We need to have is accepting.
Absolutely.
We need to work more in accepting and accept the people who, whatever reason, is somehow different to us in some regards. Doesn't matter why. They could be autistic, or it could be a foreigner, or could be so we need to create acceptance of individuals that they are different.
And that's exactly the direction we should be striving towards, not just in our respective town, in our state, in this country. We should be learning from each other. Because we all bring something different to the table, number one. Number two, deep down, we are all the same.
Yes.
At our core, even if it doesn't appear that way on the surface.
Yes, I believe I totally agree. And then I want to just to highlight that really when we talk about, and I hear your speech in Concord, I admire you for doing that. That's brave and necessary. And you have took that lead, and that is really admirable, and that is very important that you are doing that, and you are an excellent example of what is someone that is really proactive on help the community. Yeah, when I'm talking about the community, I'm not talking just because concentrating on the autistic population, no, the community, because that is part of the community that cannot be segregated in any way, and we cannot allow the government use anything on the way to segregate individuals that are very important and contribute to the society in different ways.
And certainly already this journey has been both very informative, but it also led me to see a piece that was not being discussed in the national headlines, in the state headlines. Pick your favorite thereupon. When I hear these misrepresentations, when I hear these misconceptions, and when I hear what's been proposed, what I didn't hear was a informed, well-reasoned rebuttal of why that could be why that's a problem, what could potentially go wrong with it. And that's what we're attempting to do here. And to offer the other side of the discussion, and to offer the other side of the equation, and to touch upon your point about the fact that I've spoken in Concord, New Hampshire 2 different times this year on the subject. After both speeches, I had a mix of gratitude, appreciation, and people thanking me for taking to the podium on both occasions because they're not aware that this is going on, or they didn't know that it's potentially that serious. And with everything lining up the way that it is, yeah, it is that serious. There is a real risk with what's being proposed here. And that's why we're trying to bring this forward, and I don't know that push isn't quite the right word, but emphasize the part about inclusion.
Yes, I totally and that is very important. And then we saw the references, and there on your screen, there is other references. That is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention about Autism Spectrum Disorder. And let's see, it is about Mayo Clinic Autism Spectrum and Disorder Overview. This is something that is also kind of, I don't like the title, because the disorder, well, it's not disorder, it's a difference. It's not any disorder there. So there is something that I really...
I certainly agree that it's a bit of a misnomer. It's not really
it's not a
disorder, it's a difference.
It's a difference. So there is, that's the title they give, and that is it, but it's not a disorder. Then Autism Speaks, that is what is autism. And this is good because it's actually kind of parallel of what you are doing today here.
Oh, for sure.
And so National Autistic Society, what is autism? Also, there is another one that is parallelism of what you are doing today. So this is good.
Oh, yeah. And I would add one more to that. And it is the New Hampshire Council on Autism Spectrum Disorders. It's the New Hampshire level educational resource clearinghouse of support services and information regarding all things autism here in the state of New Hampshire, formed by vote of the New Hampshire legislature in 2008.
Okay.
in the next legislative session coming up in January, there is legislation on the table to disband it. They are attempting to get rid of that and will hopefully be able to address that in part 2. But just to give a little bit of a preview of what the sort of subject we're going to be getting into here.
Yeah, when you go to the point, that is the way that the people that need to be proactive and be present when is needed there.
Oh, for sure.
That is the way, yes. Yeah. So this is...
Let's get into more of what's on the slide here, addressing the vaccine policy changing.
So now, has been, always when someone receive any medication, vaccine, there is always any medical procedure, doesn't matter what. There it could be just an injection to extract a molar or a vaccine. There is could be some bad results. Is the risk always there?
Oh, for sure.
That's for sure. But if you see the complications that could happen because of vaccine, and the benefits really, the risks are so low and the benefits so high that I believe is very dangerous the way that they are talking today about vaccination. So I remember to go to Uganda and see the vaccinations against measles, because the preventable disease that killed more children in Sub-Saharan Africa. Well, that is, and now how it could be possible that we're having some cases of measles or polio that is actually, has been almost eradicated. We should not go back to the United States to have those diseases, because this idea that actually there is a correlation with the vaccine and autism, that is, we already said that is proved wrong, and even other things that could be arise as a consequence of vaccine I think is wrong. We need to tell the people they need to vaccinate, and
the part that, and as you can see on the slide, the part that disheartens me quite a bit is to learn that in September of this very year, Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. announced that he was awarding a federal grant to Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute for the purpose of conducting a study to prove that vaccines cause autism. As we highlighted earlier in this presentation, they do not.
Yeah.
And in cases where there were people with autism in the study, the difference was so small that it was statistically insignificant in the scheme of things.
Yes. That is, I think that is not the right approach. It's very dangerous the way that they are doing, and that is false. They are just looks like they want to fabricate the relationship between. I believe it's the wrong path.
It's very risky, for sure.
And very risky, so it's not right. So we need to just, the people, they need to read and inform, and then really do not believe something because has been said for, doesn't matter who. The people need proactive on finding the truth and finding the correct information. We cannot just, because the Secretary of Health said something, just believe that it should be right.
And that is why I believe it is important to, for lack of a better term, show our hand, and that's why we had the listing of resources earlier in this presentation, so people can actually do their own homework too, alongside us.
Correct. Yes.
And understand.
Yeah.
This is what's really going on, because yes, it's being talked about nationally, and we're seeing the news stories and the sound bites. Part of the point in doing this and to get people to understand that there's far more to the story than a news headline.
Correct, yes.
Far more than a soundbite.
Yes. And
then
yes.
this next slide gets into
Yes,
two of the big misconceptions that have been repeated over the course of the year. But I would draw people's attention to the highlighted section at the bottom. Autism itself is a genetic neurological difference. Based on current science, the best that can be done is management. It cannot be cured.
Exactly. And that is another thing that is that the idea to people decide not vaccinate their children is not going to prevent
Oh, for sure.
autism.
I mean,
and there is actually going to put more risk in those children because of the lack of vaccination.
That is
the
true
reality.
of this entire subject area.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want to emphasize in not just the inclusion piece of that, which is very important. The second piece of that is I encourage our audience to refer to the sources that we have shared with you here in this presentation to do your own homework.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And that appears to be the end of the slideshow.
Yeah.
So for a quick bit of background, after hearing what Secretary Kennedy proposed back in April, I proceeded to spend the next couple of weeks going to various outreach events with like-minded folks, various, dare I say it, rallies, and talking with people that I trusted, their judgment. And that's where I started to realize that I had a unique perspective, a unique platform to bring the other side of the discussion to the table. And that the one thing that we weren't hearing in the national headlines, in the national news stories, and the sound bites was, why is it potentially problematic? What is autism really? And that we should be including people rather than excluding, integrating rather than segregating. And that's what drove me, not just the concerns I highlighted in my introduction, but that's what drove me to this calling. That's why I wanted to seek out the help of both Alejandro and our fine folks here at Hudson Community Television, and to bring people's attention to why it matters.
Well, friends, I do not have anything to add. There is nothing better to end this program but with the words that already my friend Ian said. And thank you very much to everyone for paying attention, for listening, and for bringing that topic to the table with your friends. Thank you very much.